All right, last video on this subject, I promise. So what's up with the Blade of Eternal Darkness drop rate? Has it been buffed, and what are your chances of getting it? So watch this video in the background while I chat. I'll start with some quick history. So everyone either refers to the OG, like vanilla drop rate for this dagger as 0.3% or 0.26%, right? A fraction of 1%. And these slight differences are because Atlas Loot shows it as 2.6%, but Wowhead data has it as around 0.3%. And I like the Wowhead data, which actually shows the drops out of the kills. And so you can just do the math and you can simply divide 119 drops by 40,307 attempts, and you get 0.002952 or 0.295%, which of course rounds to that 0.3% that's on Wowhead. So just under a third of 1%. So we know that in 2019 Classic, this remained the drop rate until Phase 5 or Classic 1.10, when in the middle of 2021, they buffed the drop rate to an even 1%, and that was in the patch notes, and we all knew about it. So then in Season of Mastery, presumably because it was a shortened seasonal server, they doubled the rate again to 2%. So now finally we arrive at phase 3 of Season of Discovery, and we either data mine or somebody gets the dagger, and right away, first of all, we can see that it's buffed, right? It's the same amazing mana regen ability for AoE farming and everything else, but now it has plus 20 spell power, which puts it firmly at the top of basically the BIS list for all casters. And it lets us know that at least Blizz devs were looking at the dagger. They put some thought into it for Season of Discovery. So we all start farming it, and of course it's not dropping. And people are asking around, and a Blizz dev named Zyrene, I think, pops into the Mage Discord and confirms that Classic Patch 1.09, right, just before those dungeon loot updates I mentioned earlier, are what was used for drop rates. So it was definitely, I believe, set at this 0.295% or 0.3% number. So what does that mean for getting the dagger, and what has changed today? Well, first of all, the math is easy. You can take 0.002952 and divide it by 100, and that's 338.7, which means that every time you kill the princess, it's as if you laid 339 playing cards face down, and you get to pick one, and only one has the picture of the dagger on it. And because of this thing in statistics called the law of independent trials, this means that every time you kill her, it's as if your cards have been reshuffled and it's a fresh pick from all 339 cards. So, like, that's one way to think of it. I like to think of it in terms of probability, or like, what are my chances of getting this item in some number of attempts? And the math for that is also pretty easy. It's sort of like you're calculating, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like you're calculating one minus the odds of the event not happening. But at any rate, the formula is simple. It's 1 minus, um, and then the inverse of the drop rate, which would be 1 minus the drop rate, times itself, however many attempts you have, or raised to the power of the number of attempts. So that's the formula, and the way that works out with a 0.295% rate is here. So the number of attempts is down the left-hand side, and if you run 50 attempts, you can see a 12% chance of getting this dagger sometime in those 50 attempts. And it would take you up to over 250 or almost 300 runs to get a roughly 50% chance of seeing the dagger. Now, the problem with all this, and like the thing that's so hard to like reconcile in your mind or grasp, is what I mentioned before, that law of independent trials, which means that every time you run this is as if it was your first time. And you know that, well, sometime in my next 300 runs, I have about a 50-50 chance of seeing the dagger. It might be the first one, it might be 300. So there you go. The chances are pretty rough. However, we wake up this morning, maintenance ends, and a few minutes into it coming live on NA here in the morning, Pacific time, post pops up on the Mage Discord. Got it, second run of the day. Then like another one a short time later, third run after reset, and another and another, and all day long people are posting screenshots in their fifth run after reset, 13th run after reset, screenshot after screenshot. So I start running it, and everyone is saying, oh, the rate must have been buffed. There's nothing Blizzard has posted, nothing to confirm it, but so many people are seeing drops, it seems like it was. So as I get to like 10, 15, 20 runs on the day, I'm thinking, maybe not, maybe I'm being trolled, or frankly, I was getting a little bit frustrated. And then here it was on my 245th run overall and my 36th run of the day. I got it also. And you can see it was a good run, by the way, 2 minutes, 54 seconds. And at this point, honestly, I was less thrilled that it dropped and happy and more just like, I just feel like super relieved that I'm released from this grind and able to actually go play the game and do some other stuff. So anyway, final thoughts on the drop rate based on what I saw today on the Mage Discord and my own experience. It feels an awful lot like the rate is over here, 2% drop rate or maybe even more. So your chances of getting it after various number of tries would be this, the right-hand side here, which kind of mirrors what we saw on the Discord today. It was kind of anecdotal, but you kind of can get a feel for it, and it aligns with my experience a bit. Maybe it's even a bit higher than that 2%. Maybe they made it 3 or something, and hopefully they'll post about it soon. But at any rate, it would make sense considering that Blizzard buffed the item, and it's a shortened seasonal situation. And anyway, I hope this was interesting. And if you don't have the dagger yet, don't give up. Cheers, folks.